When you were a student athlete, what was the biggest lesson you learned?
I think the biggest lesson that I learned when I was a student athlete was just like cherish every single moment. I think when I was done hockey, um, I wasn't really ready for the amount of hit that I was kind of going to take with being away from the team. This was the first summer that I had never like had something to work for, like some another season to work for. So it was a really, really big change. So I just think like just cherish all of those moments that you have with your team. And also another big thing that I learned when I was at U of T and just like is accept your role. I think that's a really big thing. Like you might not always be the star player, but everybody's role is important. So that's something that I also learned at the university. And like, even if your hockey career isn't going as exactly how you want it to go, like there's other things in life besides from hockey. And I think I learned that a lot when I was at U of T because I was injured. I tore my ACL when I was there as well. So I had to learn to live a little bit without hockey. And I think I was just some of my time at U of T, I was really just like pushing and making connections with people. So then I knew that my future after U of T would be bright. So I think that's something to remember.
Definitely, those are all great. Talking about like team sports, especially, a lot of athletes I talk to really struggle post grad because
Yeah.
you kind of don't have that team anymore and you don't have your sport as much. How did you approach life post grad, and what's it like to transition from being a student athlete into other things?
Yeah. I think that the way that I transitioned was a little bit different than everybody else because I had been injured and I had had time to kind of step away from hockey. So a lot of those times it was that I was thinking about my future rather than like when hockey's ending. And I didn't actually think that it would be that hard for me to leave hockey, but I felt like when everybody came back this past September and they were living downtown and I was at home at my parents', I think that was the biggest like hit to the heart was when everybody was in training camp and like I was missing out on that. Um, so I think that was a really big thing for me is how you kind of feel like you're missing out, but um that's why I'm kind of trying to keep myself busy with all the different things that I'm doing right now.
What's it like being not in college anymore, and kind of like how did you decide
Yeah.
what to pursue, I guess? Because you kind of have stayed
Yeah.
in sports too.
Yeah, so I'm in sports. So my mom works for Sport Canada. So I've always kind of known that like sport was like a way that I kind of wanted to go. And I think that's also another reason why it was a little bit easier for me to transition out was because I never stepped away. Like I've had the opportunity to work in like big sport corporations and amazing places in the OUA and then also Canada Snowboard and Lululemon. Like I'm not really stepping away from sport rather than some of my other teammates have been completely stepping away from the sport. And I know that that's really hard for them. So I still like have that piece of like athletics and sport where I am. So I think that's been a really big helper for me.
Yeah, it's nice when you've been an athlete your whole life. It's hard to just say
Yeah.
goodbye to that and completely
Yeah, for
move on.
sure.
So it's nice if you can still have that in your work too.
Yeah.
So, what's your advice for current student athletes who are looking to work in the sports industry after they graduate?
My biggest advice would probably just be to continue making connections. I know that hockey and like different sports seems as though it's the end all be all, but like you have to start thinking about your future early, like do internships, get your foot in the door places, making sure that you're building every connection you possibly can. I think that's something that I was lucky enough to do is because I was injured when I was at U of T for a couple years. I was able to like build connection, also build connection with my coaches because my coaches also knew people as well and just really build and connect with people and maintain relationships. I think that's the biggest thing that I would say that has helped me is just being able to like connect with people and build those relationships and to like really learn about the people that you're talking to because you might be able to learn something for that from them and you also might be able to like find your future job that you might not even know existed. Like I never even thought twice about working for Canada Snowboard. Like it wasn't really in the back of my mind. But then when I saw the job posting, I was like, oh, I feel like I would really excel in this. And like I'm happy that the team there believed in me as well, because it's my first, like, I guess, big job. So it's been a really awesome couple months there so far.
That is awesome. You never know what opportunities are going to come your way. Like you never know if you're
No,
talking
you
to
have no idea.
someone,
I never thought
right?
all of this was gonna happen. I didn't feel completely ready. Like I was happy about working at the Ontario University Athletics, and that was kind of like I thought I was gonna swing into like more business. So I thought I was gonna move back to Toronto, and then I kind of just started working at Lululemon, and then got the Canada Snowboard stuff, and it just kind of was a whole big pivot for me. And I never really thought that I knew sport was a pathway, like I said, because my mom works in sport, but I didn't know that I really wanted to do it until I worked at Ontario University Athletics, and it all just kind of came together.
Yeah, sometimes you don't know you really like something until you try it. So it's great
Exactly.
to get
Yeah.
out and meet people and just try different things.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a more of a personal question. How do
Yeah.
you make sure that you are living in line with your values and pursuing things that are meaningful to you?
Yeah. Um, I think that like with hockey, I've learned kind of exactly the type of environment I want to be in. And my biggest values in a workplace is I don't want to be in like a toxic workplace. I want to be in a place where I feel accepted. I want to be in a place where my voice is heard. And I think when I had been going on my job hunt, I really wanted to learn a lot about the team, because for me that's the most important thing, is like, who am I working with, who are these people, like will they have my back? So I think that's one of my main values, is the team environment. I grew up in the team environment, obviously playing hockey, and that was something really special. So I wanted to like carry that on. So whenever I was in interview process, I would always ask about the team and ask about how the environment is, and just like trust what they're saying. And that really made a really huge impact for me during my interview process. And like just another like recommendation, I guess, would be that in interview process, just really make sure to ask a lot of questions, and like make sure that you really understand what your position is going to be. I think when I was a little bit younger, I would never ask questions. I'd just be like, okay, and just like carry on. And then as I got older, I realized that like you have to ask these questions, because you don't want to be in an environment or somewhere where you might not think you fit best, or that they have different morals or different values that you do. So you really need to make sure that those types of things align with what you stand for.
Definitely. Sometimes asking questions can be so difficult. I know I've
It
struggled with
is.
that as well, but I think as you kind of grow into yourself and get more confident, it sort of happens more
Yeah.
naturally, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And also just like prepping for interviews, and like reading about the company or the PSO or NSO, like reading about who you're going to be going in and talking with. I think interview prep is a really, really big thing, because confidence comes with knowledge. So I would just say, yeah, like go. I apply to literally like everything, even if I don't think I'm like qualified. That's another thing that I've always been told, is you just apply because maybe they'll give you a shot. And I think that's kind of like what happened with some of the previous jobs that I've had, is I didn't might not have had experience, but I had some of those qualities that the company was looking for. And so I was able to get the job.
Yeah, I think putting yourself out there is just the most important thing ever, honestly. And
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
glad that you're doing it.